In today's class, we're going to be applying selection methods to submit two separate files. The first is going to be the portrait cutout, and the second is going to be the student logo. Both are going to be PNG files. So how exactly do we make a PNG file that looks a little bit like this? So the first thing that you're going to need to do is go to the web album and find an image of yourself. I'm going to use Landon as an example. And then we're going to get a high-res image. You're going to select those three vertical dots. You're going to select download. Amazing. We're going to return to Photoshop. You're going to select File, Open. You're going to find your image. You're going to double click and press OK. Next, we're going to use the magnetic lasso. And ladies and gentlemen, this is really crucial. You want to zoom in. Zoom in so much, maybe it seems weird, but this is going to create the best selection methods because you can see precisely what it is that you're zooming in on, and so that you're leaving no detail out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of go like so. I'm going to click to seal that up, and then I'm going to press spacebar to select the hand tool. And I noticed that at the top, the add to selection is highlighted, meaning we can just continue with the selection. So I'm going to select once, and when I get to the top of the screen, if I press and hold down the spacebar, it actually turns to the hand tool. So when I release the spacebar, it reverts back to the magnetic lasso. Amazing. So I'm going to go like so. I'm at the bottom, so I'm going to press the spacebar. Boom. I'm holding the spacebar. I'm holding the spacebar. Releasing the spacebar. Amazing. All right. I'm going to go like so. And I'm going to zoom out some. Great. I'm going to continue like so. And I'm going to maybe not be as precise as you guys are going to be. But nonetheless, I think we're doing a pretty easy job. There's a lot of contrast here. Great. So I'm going to seal this up. And we've got a wonderful selection. I'm going to press Command plus just to zoom in a little bit and see. Look at that. I missed a spot. Magnetic lasso. And you know what? This is a little bit tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the polygonal lasso, making sure that add to selection is still checked. And beautiful. All right. So now we got a really nice selection of Landon. We're going to press Command C to copy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the most important part of today. Once we've got this copied, right, we just press Command C. We're going to click File and then New. File and then New. And when we press File and New, Photoshop is going to give us this new document window. And if you look at the clipboard, the very first one, it says 874 by 1435 pixels. That is the exact resolution of this image that we just selected. So we're going to press Command V to paste it in, and this is the exact dimensions of Landon. And so what do we do now? We've got this white in the background. We don't want that. We want transparency. How do we get that? I'm going to click on Window and Layers. And I can see that when we're looking at the layers palette, there's two layers here, right? There's this background layer. How do we get rid of it? I'm going to drag it to the garbage can. Boom, it's gone. So what do we see? We see these white and gray checkers. That represents transparency. You're going to simply save this as File, Save As, and it's going to be Landon Bauer cutout, and not as a Photoshop file, there we go, but as a PNG file. PNG is close to the bottom when we select it like that. We've got our PNG selected. We're going to click Save. We're going to press OK. And so now we've got our PNG file. You're going to then save and submit that to Google Classroom under the portrait cutout assignment. But we're not done. But wait, there's more. We're going to create a little student logo that we're going to include in upcoming posters, including this reading poster. So what do we do? We're going to open up, where is this logo right here, this template, and I can see in the layers palette we've got some text, which I'm going to hide for a second, and we've also got this gray circle, and then behind that we've got this white circle with some transparency to create a little bit of contrast. What we're going to do is we're going to take Landon, and we're going to press Command C, or you can simply Command V, or simply open up your PNG file. And this is really important, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to press Command T, and we want to increase the size. Obviously, we're holding Shift, and we're going to get it so it looks right about there. Great. This doesn't look professional, right? We want to make sure that he's sort of like sitting inside the circle. So what we could do is if we pressed E for eraser, we can sort of like go along the edge like this. Does that look amazing? No, it doesn't at all. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to select layer 2. That's this circle layer. And we're going to select something called a magic wand. So the magic wand is right underneath the polygonal lasso, the magnetic lasso. When you select the magic wand tool, it selects an area based on color. For example, I'm going to return to Landon. If I click on the blue of his shirt, you see all that blue is selected. If I click on his face, actually, yeah, sure, his face, we can see this sort of his complexion right there. All those shades are selected. If I select his hair, just sort of the brown of his hair is selected. I'm going to press Command D to deselect. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to return to layer 2, and I'm going to select just the interior of that circle. And we'll notice the interior is selected. We don't want that. What I'm going to do is press Command Option Z to go back. I'm going to select outside the circle now, and we can see everything outside the circle selected. If we press E for eraser, we can erase, but nothing's happening. What we need to do is switch to the Landon file, the Landon layer, and with the eraser tool, we can erase his face, but we don't want to do that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to erase the bottom of his shirt. And you're going to be doing that for just about all of you guys are going to be doing this, I guess. We can leave out his elbow. He's kind of like hanging out right there. And that looks tremendous. Almost done. What we need to do now is, it says designed by your name. What we're going to need to do is instead change your name to your actual name. So Landon, B-A-U-E-R. That's a little bit too big, so I'm going to press Command A, and I'm going to reduce the size of the font from 90, let's try to 72. And that looks kind of great right there. If you want to change the file type, what we can do is obviously go to the options that we already have pre-selected. So here we've got some fun ones. That one's a little bit too fancy for my liking, but I think that one's actually really cool. How do I get these nifty fonts? Well, what you're going to want to do is go to defont.com and experiment. If you click on top and then change 20 to, let's say, 100, and we're going to press submit, we can find all sorts of fonts that will give your logo an interesting touch. You definitely want to differentiate your visuals as much as possible. We'll increase the size. Let's change this from 72 to 99 and see what happens. I like that. That looks kind of awesome right there. And so we got to click File, Save As, and not as a PSD file. Instead, we're going to be saving it as a PNG file. I'm saving it as a PNG. I'm going to press OK. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to open it up. So I'm going to click File, Open. And let's find this PNG file. There we go, at the very top. Sorry. What we can do now is if we press the Move tool, we can click and drag it to right here, for example. And that looks amazing. All right, let's see what you guys got. Good luck.